Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this broadcast of the Sim Formula Europe Heusinkveld Peregrine competition at the circuit Maastricht in the Netherlands. My name is Paul Jeffrey. I will be talking you through the action today, and our broadcast director, as ever, is Ruben Correa-Alves with Jimmy Allison in race control. We've got 10 drivers, we've got one race, and we've got the golden opportunity to end today with a set of Heusinkveld Sim Pedal Sprint, the 3-pedal set for our competition winner. Now, what do we have in store over the next 50 minutes or so for our audience at home? We've got a single race. This is not for points. This is not to get a solid position to put you in a good championship place. This is all about the race victory. 30 minutes from a standing start in the beautiful Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo. The track is the Maastricht Street Circuit. It is high speed, it's tight, it's demanding, and it's always ready to catch the drivers out should they make a mistake. So this will be a case of self-preservation and going as fast as you possibly can against 10 equally quick competitors on this field. The drivers have qualified for this championship through a hot lap competition in R Factor 2. The pace has been absolutely incredible, and we've taken the 10 of those fastest drivers and put them into this one-off competition format for, as I said earlier, the chance to win a set of Heusinkveld Sim Pedal Sprint. The cars are the Audi R8 LMS Evo GT3 that you may already know, but with a little bit of a difference as well. If you saw the broadcast right from the very beginning when we went on air, you'll have noticed they've got very special livery designs. What's happened prior to this competition? We've asked our livery design creators out in the community to put together a Peregrine-inspired design for this competition. The results have been fantastic. We've seen some incredible work from our artists out in the community, and the Sim Formula Europe team have chosen 10 of these liveries to be represented today in this race. Those 10 liveries we will see in good time when the drivers get out onto the circuit for qualification, but they look absolutely resplendent. And as an added bonus as well, you can vote for your favourite livery design, of which we'll be announcing the winner on the 23rd of this month. So do get voted at the simformula.eu website for your favourite design, where you can see all the drivers, who's in which car, and some statistics about them as well. There we go, one from Ziggy Sierra that we see, a beautiful design from Adrian Blasco, great looking livery there, and Pierluca Amato driving a very striking Heusinkveld, the lead sponsor, the Peregrine feel to the livery as well. Ferry Stanley there, another livery from Angela Faro there as well. Manuel Biancolia in the beautiful design as well. Throwback livery, sort of seen things there. Turka Hakkinen in the Andrew Godlewski design car, a very striking livery. And trust me, folks, these look amazing out on circuit as well. Polsner in the Eurohuizen's designed livery that you see on screen. Mark Krauss from the United States of America has chosen the Manuel Correa design for his competition. Jerzy Simončić in the Mark Sykes design, very speedy looking design as well. And Jan van der Heide in the Stefan Glester design car. Heusinkveld, proud primary sponsor, Sim Formula Europe on there as well. Michael Spiegel, the guy that went quickest in a design all the way from Japan as well. So we've had a really impressive uptake from our livery designers. So thank you to everybody out there that took the time and effort to get a livery design submitted. Each and every one of them were absolutely beautiful, and it was incredibly difficult indeed to pick out 10 that we're going to use for this competition. But 10 we did pick out. The drivers have selected which livery they want to use to represent themselves in this race, and now it is time for the talking, for the competitions, for the designing, for the choosing to come to an end, because we are hitting the circuit. This is a one-off race, just to remind you all. This is a 30-minute race at the conclusion of this qualification session. There will be no pit stops. The weather looks beautiful, sunny and warm, unlike it is in real life at this moment in time. So it's a case of getting a lap in, getting a good starting position and working your way to the checkered flag as the fastest of these 10 runners. And for anybody who's not familiar with the Maastricht Street Circuit, this is a mod that's available to download now on the R Factor 2 Steam Workshop. Created in 2018, the track is a fantasy circuit, but it uses the real road configuration of the beautiful town of Maastricht in the Netherlands. So all the roads that you see, the buildings that you see on screen, all exist in real life. Should this circuit be created in the real world, it would look something very, very similar to this. So we're heading down now into the first corner. Although it's a street track and very tight in places, it's an incredibly fast racetrack as well. T1 is going to be a danger zone for the drivers. It goes under a tunnel as well. This is a looping, long right hand that you're going to be very, very careful not to run wide, make contact with the outside wall because damage is on. Of course, the cars will be damaged. That will slow them down. And in a 30-minute sprint race, it's very, very inadvisable to pit for repairs. So the drivers have got to maintain their own composure, their own car strength and weakness as well. Everybody's driving the same car, so you don't want to attract a little bit of damage because when the field is as close as this, just 1 or 2 tenths of a second deficit from some deranged suspension or some compromised aerodynamics could very much be the difference between success and failure here at the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition for Sim Formula Europe 2021. We've got 12 minutes left on the clock at this moment in time. At 2 minutes 34.196 is our provisional pole position from Michael Smidl, the driver who was quickest in the hot lap competition. For reference, the 2 minutes 36.6 was the fastest time in the hot lap competition. Track conditions have changed somewhat. Drivers have become a little bit more accustomed to the car and to the circuit, and of course it's the white hot heat of competition is always good for another couple of tenths of a second out of the back pockets of Smidl, leading from Heusinkveld in second position. Pierluca Amato is third at this moment in time. Amato was one of the drivers that we've seen a lot of in R Factor 2 recently. The Italian, 22 years old, a very good prospect for future. Mike Kraus now that we're looking at from the United States of America, currently in 9th position. He's got a target time of provisional pole 134.196. Is currently 1.2 seconds away as he heads into one of the fastest parts of the circuit. Maximum commitment. You've got to keep the car within the boundaries of the circuit as well. Down in a third gear, catch as much of a run through the corner, get as wide and as late, as tight to the outside wall as you possibly can to carry the momentum down this long back straight. This is a street track, much like the Macau Gear Street Circuit. There are really tight twisting sections, but there are also incredibly fast corners. It's not like Monaco where you pile on the downforce and away you go. You've got to compromise between the twisties and between the ultra fast backstretch that we see Mark Kraus coming down now to set a 2 minutes 36.948. That does not move him from his 9th position time and slowest of the drivers that have set a lap with 10 minutes, the halfway mark of qualification, about to pass on our screens. Heusinkveld that we're looking at now, currently in second position. He needs to find 2 and a bit tenths of a second to overtake our provisional pole sitter at this moment in time. Heusinkveld was another very fast driver in the qualification hot lap competition, finishing in 7th position, just mere fractions of a second away from the ultimate quickest time over the course of the 7-day period where hot laps were open. Anybody who's been watching Sim Formula Europe 2021 so far this season will remember Heusinkveld's very unfortunate qualification race last time out at the it was at Virginia International Speedway, where he was looking to International Raceway, where he was looking highly likely to qualify for the main Sim Formula Europe 2021 championship until getting involved in an incident very late in the race. So he's got something of a point to prove, I think, at this Peregrine Heusinkveld competition. He's looking to take away the race victory, but standing between him and that race victory is this man, Michael Smeagol, currently 25 years old, from the Czech Republic, the fastest driver on the field so far, goes quicker still, a 2-minute 34, almost flat, to put himself just under 0.4 of a second away at the lead of the standings with 9 minutes left on the clock. So Smeagol showing all the pace at this moment in time, very much a man to keep our eye out during the course of the remainder of this event. Smeagol, our provisional pole sitter, he returns to pit lane, no doubt to put a new set of boots on his Audi R8 LMS GT3 car for another shot and extending his advantage. So far, we've got just under 3 seconds covering the top 10, so representative times from our 9th and 10th place people not yet laid down with 8.5 minutes to go. There's a dynamic track in our Factor 2, so it will get faster, one would assume, as more rubber is laid down, as more cars take to the circuit and set a lap time at this beautiful venue. If you've not tried it for yourselves, I really do recommend head over to the Steam R Factor 2 workshop, download it for yourself and set some laps. The Maastricht Street Circuit, a very, very challenging driving experience in a variety of different cars, and just perfect for this Audi R8 LMS, as Simoncic remains in second position, but Polsner is in third now, and Marto moves up in a fourth position, half a second away from the ultimate pace. Ferris Stanley from Indonesia fails to improve his position and is currently in fifth place on the grid with 7 minutes and 30 seconds just over left on the clock. Ziggy Sierra, another driver that we've seen plenty of in R Factor 2 esports land, currently in 7th position. You can see the cars on its tippy toes. Sierra stringing every last bit of lap time out of this RDR8, getting sideways through the long apex corner, foot flat to the floor. He's got 0.4 of a second he needs to find if he wants to be in with a shout of making this lap a shot at pole position. Under the tunnel, into Bassin, the left-hander, very fast that we spoke about earlier, maximum commitment. Be careful to keep the car away from the wall on the outside. Sierra makes contact with the wall, and that is a lap time ruined, I'm afraid. Ziggy Sierra under pressure now, 7 minutes left on the clock, 7th position on the provisional grid. He'll return to the pit lane, he'll get a fresh set of boots, repair damage on his car, and go out for one final throw of the dice as Simoncic now starts his lap. The long run, maximum velocity down here, the car beating on the rev limiter at the end of the rev range, heading into T1. This is going to be a danger zone when the race starts. The brakes are aglow. Balance the car through into the tunnel. 2.3 kilometers long. This tunnel opened in 2016. The Wilhelm Alexander Tunnel, named after the King of the Netherlands. I'm sure, should cars in real life be racing through, this will sound spectacular, bouncing off the walls of the tunnel. But when you get to the end, there's a very dangerous left-hander where you've got to be careful to line the car up in a straight line, balance the car on the brakes. Very easy to unsettle over the bump at the top of the hill. Keep it tight, run it out wide, balance the car, get on the throttle as early as you can. Great, they're driving there from Simoncic. Touches the wall on the outside, unfortunately. Runs a little bit deep, hard on the brakes into the left hand. A very, very late apex. Don't go too tight or you'll catch the wall on the inside. Straight line it through the left, the right chicane. Keep the car, the throttle absolutely flat to the floor as we start to run downhill into one of the most difficult corners on the entirety of this Maastricht Street circuit. It's a very, very difficult right hand. It tightens. Drivers will be tempted to get a slipstream in the race and look to effect an overtake down into this corner, but you've got to be careful because it bites heavy into the braking zone. The second part of the corner, keep the car nice and tight. Be careful of the rear end wanting to step away from the driver. You've got to balance the throttle, balance the steering. Then the second part of the corner to try and catch you as you're hard on the throttle once again for another very fast run down the back straight. Barriers on either side. Very little room for our drivers to breathe. But as I said at the top of the show, the amount of fast parts of racetrack and then slow parts of racetrack makes this circuit very much a balance of that. One of my favourite corners on the track now, into the left-hander. You can't see from the cockpit the apex of the corner. You've got to balance, use your muscle memory. Hard on the brakes, third gear, catch the curb on the inside, power past the Sim Formula building on the left-hand side, hard on the throttle. Once again, we're coming down into another big stop hard on the brakes, control the car on the brakes, run wide early on the power, slight feather, slight lift, balance the car, bring it all the way to the right hand side of the circuit, swing it into the left, very, very narrow here, only room for one car, avoid the barriers on both sides, and then take a breath, take a drink, and head on down the start-finish straight. And Jürgen Simoncic goes to a 2-minute 34.2, so it's faster, but not good enough yet to overtake our provisional pole sitter, Michael Smidl, currently in pole position, looking pretty with a 2 minutes and 34 second lap time. He has got 2.5 tenths of a second advantage over the man we were just rising with, Simoncic in second place. Polsny is third. He's a further 2.5 tenths of a second in arrears, 5 tenths away from the ultimate pace. Pierluca Amato from Italy is P4, just over half a second away from the all-important provisional pole position. Ferris Stanley rounds out the top 5, with Jan van der Heide moving up into 6th position, but 7 tenths in arrears. We're looking at Amato now, making friends with the curves, avoiding the wall. Thankfully for him, Amato, very, very difficult part of the racetrack, foot flat to the floor. Let's see if he's done enough. He was 2.5 tenths away from pole position at the second sector, crosses the line with a 2:34.5. That takes him into 3rd position, 5 tenths of a second, a small improvement over his fastest lap, but still not enough to dispossess the drivers ahead of him. So he'll be heading up the second row if things continue at this rate. Bjorn Collier in 8th position so far, almost a second away from the ultimate pace. Hakkinen in 9th, and Kraus rounding out the top 10, 2.8 seconds, or 9 seconds almost away from pole position. So Kraus not managing to unlock the pace we know he is capable of so far in this session. It's going to be an upward battle from there for the American if he's not careful. As Stanley wiggling the car on acceleration through the back straight now. Ferris Stanley looking to improve on his time, and yes, he does, but does not move any further forward. 5th position, nearly 6 tenths of a second away. Hakkinen moves it up into 7th place, 8 tenths of a second in arrears. Ziggy Sierra, a driver I expected to see big things from today, is currently stranded in 8th position. The clock is running down, ladies and gentlemen. We've only got just under 2 minutes left to go. Can Ziggy Sierra dig deep down the back of the sofa and find himself some lap time in the dying moments of this session? He needs to. He's in 8th position. That is not good enough for Ziggy Sierra. He needs to move up if he wants to be in with a chance of taking the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition title and a 3-pedal set no less, of the beautiful Heusinkveld Sim pedal sprint. Ziggy Sierra charges down to the finish line. He's looking for a 2 minute 34.0. He doesn't manage it. 2:34.866. Sierra retains 8th position. He will have enough time to set one more lap as Jan van der Heide, out of nowhere, manages 3rd fastest time. That is final throw of the dice for Van der Heide, and a great throw it is. Just under 4 tenths of a second away from pole, but good enough to round out the front of the second row of the grid. Outstanding from Van der Heide. Very much a surprise driver in this field. He qualified in 10th in the hot lap competition, but he's found lap time. Searching, practicing, testing, training have paid off for Jan van der Heide, currently in 3rd position, ahead of Amato, ahead of Polsny, Stanley, Hakkinen, Sierra, Bjorn Collier and Kraus in 10th position. Great performance, and Michael Smidl, driver that no one looks like they can touch at this moment in time, is going out for one final effort in this qualification for the Heusinkveld Peregrine hot lap competition. Heusinkveld Peregrine finals day competition here today at the Maastricht Arena as part of the Sim Formula Europe 2021 suite of events. Michael Smidl, the fastest on the racetrack. Can he go faster still? Gets it crossed up mid-corner. That's going to compromise him, losing a 10th of a second or so. He's already in deficit on the split times as well, so I don't think this lap is going to be any faster. He's not going to improve his provisional pole position time unless he does a monster final sector of this Maastricht Street circuit, but he will be provisional. No, he doesn't. He's given up on that lap, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is our qualification over and done with for the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition finals day race here at Maastricht. We can see 1 second covers the top 9. Kraus has more pace than we have seen from him today, so expect to see him move forward come the race. But just like I said at the top of the show, qualifying's all well and good. Very important, of course, because the further toward the front of the field that you start, the better your chances of having a good race are. But this is 30 minutes. This is a challenging, difficult circuit, but a circuit where slipstream is your friend. So do you want to be in P1 as you go through the tunnel on the very first lap, or do you want to be in P2 or P3 and get the benefit of the draft from the cars ahead? These are questions, folks, that we'll be answering very, very soon indeed as we move over to our 30-minute race. One race, one chance, one opportunity. There's a song in there somewhere, and we will have a champion at the end of the day. If you're just tuning in, or if you've been here from the beginning, great to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining R Factor 2 Live here on Twitch. We really appreciate you watching and enjoying these broadcasts. Please do give us a follow and a like. Spread the word. Tell your friends, because this is not the only racing that we're going to have on this channel in the coming days. As on Sunday, the 17th of January 2021, we'll be doing the Sim Formula Europe Finals Day broadcast. It'll also be live on Dutch television, broadcasting from 1 p.m. CET. So put a date in your diary, write a post-it note, stick it on the fridge, tattoo it on your arm, and be there or be square. It's going to be some great racing. But that is for the future. Now, we've got to concentrate on this, the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition. This is going to be intense. This is the moment in time where all the practice, all the concentration, all the training, all the hard work of the drivers comes to a head in one final 30-minute throw of the dice. If you missed it at the beginning of the broadcast, just to remind you, this is a 30-minute race from a standing start with no pit stops. The weather looks like it's going to remain dry throughout the course of the event. The car is the Audi R8 LMS GT3. The liveries have been specially designed by our awesome sim racing community that have created some amazing designs based on the theme of this competition, which is the Peregrine Falcon, which is the fastest bird in the world. Aerodynamic, graceful, classy, a beautiful, beautiful animal for a beautiful, beautiful e-sport competition. And we're going to see 10 of the fastest drivers who have challenged each other and themselves in a hot lap competition to get the quickest time to enable them to qualify for this competition. But I'm sure pretty much everybody at home watching this broadcast knows there is a distinct difference between real hot lap competition and racing. There we go, a little look at the liveries in action. You can see them now on your screens. We're looking at the qualification starting grid with Michael Smidl on pole position, ahead of Jurgen Simoncic in second, Van der Heide in third position, and Marto fourth, Wojciech Polski in fifth, Ferry Stanley and Turka Hakkinen sixth and seventh, Ziggy Sierra in eighth position in his Audi. Michael Biancaglia in ninth place, and Mark Kraus round out the top 10. Manuel Biancaglia, my apologies, and Mark Kraus in the United States round out the top 10. We've got drivers from the Czech Republic, from Italy, from Indonesia, from Finland, Slovenia, Poland, the United States, and Germany taking part in this race. Fantastic cross-section of sim racers that are looking to make a name for themselves, to enjoy the fight, hopefully, I hope I'm not speaking too soon, but the clean fight amongst each other as we are now heading around the circuit. We are in to racing action. Actually, I think we've missed the start, I believe. So the race has begun already, and this is the Maastricht Street Circuit, an incredible racetrack, and somewhere where we will see. Oh no, I've been told it's the formation lap, but they're in a hurry. I thought they were driving a little bit quick. That is definitely a high-speed formation. Like, there's no tactics like you see in Formula One, where the pole sitter tries his best to slow the field down and lower the tyre temperatures of his rivals. So great, thank you there, Ruben, for the little notification. I'm glad you said that, because I was thoroughly confused. And let's hope that's the only mistake that we make, that I make, during the course of this broadcast. So false alarm, everybody. Go back to mashing your drink or getting something out of the fridge before you settle down to watch this race. Michael Smeedle takes the drivers around the beautiful Maastricht Street circuit to line up on the grid for the standing start as well, which is another element of excitement for these drivers. A standing start requires a certain skill set to get these cars off the line quickly, and then we run down into the tight right-hander at T1 before going under the bridge here at Maastricht. T1, it's an inviting corner, it's a danger corner. For me, this is the corner that we need to keep an eye on, because you can't win a race in turn one, but you can very much lose one. So the drivers will have to apply a little bit of common sense, a little bit of caution, try and bide their time for the run down to the opening turn. Because if you write your car off or damage your car in any way, shape or form into T1, your race will be over. But let's worry about that in a few hundred yards time. The 10 drivers line up on the grid for the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition here at the Circuit Maastricht. They're looking for the red light. Revs are rising, balancing the car on the clutch. The lights go out. The race begins. Everybody floods down into T1. Simoncic gets a great start on the right-hand side of the circuit. He'll have the inside line for T1, and he does take T1. Spiegel drops into second position, immediately looks for the slipstream. Simoncic goes defensive into the opening corner. Spiegel looks around the outside. Will he find space? No, he will not. One by one into T1. Let's hope that they go. Everybody avoids Polsner, gets contact, heading into the bridge. Exactly what we didn't want to see happening. Polsner drops the car into the wall on the outside following contact. He should get away with that one. Jan van der Heijden in third position, firmly in the slipstream of the leading cars ahead, but Simoncic is our race leader, and Marto and Ferry Stanley too wide in the tunnel, heading down into the very tight left-hander for the very first time on the opening lap of the race. Middle uses the slipstream to his advantage, gets the race lead. Simoncic drops into second position. Van der Heijden in third place, keeping a watching brief of the cars ahead of him, but Spiedel lost it into T1, regained it by the time they got to the exit of the bridge, and Ferry Stanley and Biancalia in 6th and 7th position, squabbling amongst themselves for the lower places just outside of the top 6 positions. Polsny retains track position in 8th, so Polsny was still making light contact heading into the bridge, lives to fight another day. He's ahead of Hakkinen and Kraus at the back of the field as well. We're riding on board now with Ferry Stanley from Indonesia on Ziggy Sierra. Contact with the rear of Sierra's Audi. Sierra acquired damage in that instant as well. There's going to be a little bit of a fisticuffs in the virtual world for that one, I'm sure, but Sierra manages to keep the car pointing in the right direction. Let's have a look at the replay now. On board with P2, Simoncic gets a great launch off the line, manages to minimise his wheel spin, great clutch control as well, and it's just nothing Smeedel can do about it at that stage of the race. He immediately knows the ghost is up, gets behind Simoncic, tries to find a slipstream, and he does indeed work that one to good effect now as well. Looking at Polsner, so Polsner, a driver, contact in the early parts of the race. The car seems to be broadly pointing in the right direction, so everything's good and well at the moment. Biancalia ahead of him as a driver is looking to try and dispossess of position, of 7th position, no less. So into the slipstream. Will he make a late dive on the brakes? No, he will not. Very short braking zone here into the next right-hander as well, so he'll do well to follow the car ahead. Use the slipstream. For anybody new to motorsport watching this broadcast, it's not sure what we mean by slipstream. It's the dirty air of the car in front. The car in front pushes the hole through the air. The car behind can use that gap. It sucks. It gives you more speed. It brings you up to the rear of the car behind, which is great for the chaser, not so good for the chasee. And Simoncic is the man under pressure in second position now from Van der Heijden in third, using that slipstream down the massively long back stretch to good effect. But Simoncic avoids losing position so far, retains his P2. He's not got the pace. The speed at this point in the race, 1.4 seconds already at the end of the first lap. But this is a circuit Maastricht. Anything can happen. One mistake and it's all over. Look at Van der Heyden now, using that slipstream to great effect. Gets out of the dirty air into clean space, ready for his braking zone. The car will have reduced downforce when following another rival so close that there's nothing he can do into the left-hander out of the tunnel. Hakkinen that we're looking at now, chasing down Polsny ahead of him. Polsny looking a little bit uncomfortable at this stage in the race. The car a little bit squirmy, losing some time. Sideways is not as fast as going forwards, and Hakkinen will take heart from that one as he tries to wrestle the position away. And look at these beautiful shots. There we go, that's the contact with the wall. Bounces back into Polsny as well, so holding in the live pictures as a mistake from Polsny, but actually he was an innocent bystander there, collected by the car returning to the racetrack. So my apologies to Polsny there, but he does manage to survive. As we said, all 10 runners are still in contention in this, the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition here at Circuit Maastricht in R Factor 2 for Sim Formula Europe 2021. Ferry Stanley, 6th position now. Him and Ziggy Sciarra have been glued together in the opening portion of this race. Stanley will see the cars ahead starting to move away slightly, so he'll need to make progress if he's wanting to run further up this running order. He cannot afford to be stuck behind Ziggy Sciarra for too long should he start losing that all-important real estate, that track time to the cars further ahead. He can overtake here at Maastricht. It is difficult to overtake for sure, but overtaking is entirely possible, and Ferry Stanley will need to make that move forward very quickly indeed if he entertains any prospect of fighting for a podium or the ultimate race victory at the conclusion of this event. As Smeedle goes fastest with a 35.590 carrying race fuel. He is quicker than his hot lap time to get him into this competition, and around a second or so away from his pole position time at the beginning of the day. So the pace is incredible from all of these drivers, and he knows he needs to keep pushing. He may have a comfortable 1.8 second advantage at this stage in the race, but one small mistake, one light brush of the barriers, a missed braking zone, anything along those lines, you'll let your concentration drop for just a moment, and it can all be over and done with. As Biancolier in 10th position has retired from the race. So Biancolier has retired from the race. I'm not quite sure why he's got a DNF, but that's a shame to see the end of the day for Manuel Biancolier, 20 years old, from Italy, retires from this race in the early running. There's 9 drivers left, headed by our pole position man, our hot lap, fastest lap driver, Michael Smeedle, in first position. 2 seconds ahead of Jürgen Simoncic. Jan van der Heyden in third position. And Marto in fourth. Ziggy Sciarra P5. Ferry Stanley that we're riding with now all over the rear of Sciarra's car in 6th position. He's got to run. They made contact at this part of the track last time. Little light touch on the rear once again, so Stanley needs to be careful with that kind of behaviour, making contact with the car ahead in a straight line. That unsettles Sciarra. You saw Sciarra make light contact with the barriers on the outside. Ferry Stanley playing a strategic game at this stage of the race, but of course any contact you make will bring damage to your car as well, so keep tapping the front end of that Audi. You will get understeer, and understeer, trust me folks, is not your friend at a circuit like this. Understeer is a ticket to retirementville, so Ferry Stanley will need to be careful. There's still 22 minutes left on the clock of this race. We've seen Sciarra now very, very sideways, does well to gather the car together without making contact or heavy contact with the barriers. That will enliven Ferry Stanley behind. You'll see that Sciarra is under a little bit of pressure. One mistake often leads to 2, leads to 3, and gives an opportunity for the chasing driver. But the upshot of that is Pierluca Amato ahead now has a little bit of breathing space in 4th position. He needs to think what he can do about Van der Heyden in front of him, but Ziggy Sciarra is the man under pressure. Ferry Stanley is practically climbing over the top of his car to find a way past. Stanley goes to the outside, down the long back straight. There's plenty of time yet until we get to the braking zone. Into T1. He's on the outside. That's not the optimum line. Sciarra late on the stoppers. Stanley does well to gather the car together, makes contact with the outside barrier yet again. Ferris Stanley doing his absolute best to turn his Audi R8 into something entirely different indeed at the end of this race, and that's why we like virtual racing, because there are no costs involved in kissing the barriers in any great shape or form. And Ferris Stanley will be grateful for that one, otherwise he'll need to be looking for a bit of a bank loan, because he's made contact with lots of things. And look at that beautiful replay shot as he makes contact with the wall ahead, and that's behind Collier. So Manuel behind Collier, who's now out of the race for that exact reason. Hard contact with the barriers, no doubt causing too much damage to make it so the car can continue in this race. So shame to see Manuel out of the running, but there's still 9 drivers in contention. Simoncic now under significant pressure from Jan van der Heijden. So van der Heijden from Germany is looking to close the gap down. He's looking for the second step of the podium. In fact, with the pace he's showing, we're only 10 minutes down in this race. I think van der Heijden potentially fancies his chances of moving up the grid as well, as we've seen a driver slowing down there. Was that Amato? That Pierluca Amato, I think it was, going slowly. So that promoted Ziggy Sciarra into 4th position, Ferris Stanley into 5th place, and Amato now drops to 6th position. So Amato, who was on the coattails of van der Heijden just a lap ago, drops down the running order into 6th position, almost into the clutches of Hakkinen behind him, as well as Polsny now retires from the race. That's a real shame to see that one, that Polsny is out of the race as well, leaving just 8 drivers left in the running order. And remember, folks, they need to take the race victory in order to take home the Heusinkveld Sim Pedal Sprint pedals. As we're looking now at the back of Amato, we're looking at the chasing field behind. Goes to the outside. Will he run out of tarmac? Will he run out of racetrack? No, he doesn't. He's just slow. Very slow. Whether it was compromised on corner exit, whether he's carrying some damage, has got a problem. The car looks a little bit skaty on the brakes and turning, but that is a nightmare for Amato in 6th position, and that opens up this, which has been the fight of the race. Ziggy Sciarra and Ferris Stanley once again stuck together as they have been for the opening 11 minutes. Stanley now has the inside, not quite braked enough on the brakes into T1. Sciarra seems to have got the match of Ferris Stanley on the stopping pedal, heading down into T1. That will inspire some confidence from Ziggy Sciarra. If you can brake later than your rival, it becomes incredibly difficult to find a way past. Sciarra, though, needs to unlock some more speed in his car if he wants to gap the driver behind. Ferris Stanley now all over the back of him like a cheap suit through the tunnel. Will he find a way to the inside into the next braking zone? It's a very fast corner entry. No good trying to find a way past there. He will follow him through this left-hander, over the bridge, running down into a hard braking zone into the next left-hander. And that fight is another one that continues. This is Polsny that we're looking at now. Runs at the same corner that we've just been looking at, but a different lap. Oversteer into the wall on the inside. Now fear that is pretty much the end of the suspension on that Audi R8, and Polsny decides the same thing and parks the car and walks away from the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition 2021 at Sim Formula Europe. But these 2 drivers, from an entertainment and commentary point of view, I hope they stay together for the rest of the race, because this has been fantastic battling from Ziggy Sciarra in 4th position, the car at the front of this queue in your shot. Ferris Stanley in 5th position, chasing him down as he has done since the beginning of this race. Stanley showing a little bit of impatience when we've seen him a couple of kisses of the wall and of the rear of Sciarra's Audi R8 LMS GT3 ahead. So he's going to need to temper that enthusiasm, temper that optimism to try and find a way past. Is the 20-year-old Indonesian at the back of this fight, but it's got an air of inevitability about it, I fear, as we look at some great split-screen shots there from Ruben Correa Alves. We see Jan van der Heijden on the right-hand side of the screen in 3rd position, chasing down Juri Simoncic. Remember, Simoncic got the lead into T1 but lost it through the tunnel to our pole position. Man, van der Heijden fancies his chances of making his way past Simoncic ahead, but he's got to find a significant amount of time if he wants to close up on our race leader. Anything is possible, but not even at the halfway point in the race. Ferry Stanley on the left-hand side of your screen gets a good run, heading down the back straight, looking to the outside. The car ahead goes defensive. Ciara has the line covered. We've seen already he's better on the brakes into T1. Nice and neat, keeps the car away from the wall on the outside. And Ziggy Ciara once again lives to fight another day. Ferry Stanley now is doing everything in his power to put the car ahead under pressure, to learn where he's faster and where he's slower than Ciara ahead of him, using strategy, using experience, using racecraft to find a way past. Ferry Stanley once again in the slipstream, looking left, looking right, no room to overtake. A very fast entry into the corner, doubles back into the left-hander. Both drivers spot their braking point, keep the car nicely balanced. The cars look wonderful at this section of racetrack as you see them moving over the tarmac, but Michael Smidl's not interested in any of that. He's walking away from this race at the front of the field. He's balancing speed with composure. He's got to be careful, actually, as a race driver. This is a very difficult point in the race. When you're leading, when you've got the speed and advantage over your rivals, it's very easy to lull yourself into a false sense of security, a comfort blanket where you make a mistake. Ayrton Senna once said that if you're not pushing at 110%, it's much easier for mistakes to creep into your driving. On a track like the Maastricht Street Circuit, you make a mistake, you are heading straight to the scene of the accident and potential retirement. So Smidl now, because he's been fastest in hot lap, he's fastest in qualifying, has led pretty much the entirety of the race. It's almost his to lose rather than his to win. And Van der Heide will be aware of that in third position. He'll want to find a way past Simoncic ahead and start eating into that advantage, giving Smidl something to think about when he sees the times reducing on the leaderboard and potentially putting him under pressure that will lead to the mistake that we spoke about. That'll be Van der Heide's strategy. Simoncic, we don't think, at this stage at least in the race, has enough pace in his car to close up on merit. As now we're looking at Mark Kraus. We saw Kraus coming down pit lane, so Mark Kraus deciding to jump down pit road, maybe carrying a little bit of damage on his hour. He's 92 seconds in arrears at the rear of the field. Is that retirement or is that a pit stop? We'll find out in a little while. That's a shame anyway for Kraus. Now puts him out of contention as well. Look at this is the fight now. Ferry Stanley once again, this time to the outside. Can he make his way? Yes, he does. Ferry Stanley overtakes Ziggy Ciara, gets it done before they get to the breaking point. Ferry Stanley, after 15 concentrated minutes of pressure, finds a way past Ziggy Ciara. Ciara now will look to immediately counter that move from Stanley in the slipstream behind. Remember, Stanley has not seen this part of the racetrack without an Audi R8 in front of him, so it will all be new to Stanley. Ciara keeping in the slipstream as long as possible. They'll look to dive to the inside on the brakes at the very last minute. We know Ciara has got the braking capacity in the car. He backs out of it, decides discretion is the better part of valour. Although Stanley sideways in the Audi through the left-hander manages to keep the car all gathered together nicely. Let's have a quick look at a replay of how Ferry Stanley leaving fourth position away from Ziggy Ciara. The slipstream, as we said, a side draft as well. Ciara does not have enough horsepower down the start finish straight. He can't counter it on the brakes, and that is a simple in terms of the overtake itself, but it's been 15 minutes coming. A strategic pass, very good driving from both drivers, Ferry Stanley and Ziggy Ciara, as they swap positions, but I fear that fight is not over yet. Meanwhile, Jürgen Simoncic in second and Jan van der Heide, in third position. They continue to squabble, but they're slowly closing the gap to the race leader. So Michael Smidl in first position had an advantage upwards of 2 seconds at one point in this race. There were 12 minutes and change left on the clock. That is close to 1.5 seconds. That's including the fact that Simoncic and Van der Heide are fighting for position, so not necessarily going as fast as they ultimately can achieve. So Smeedle may be starting to come under a little bit of pressure for this race victory. So the fight for the victory is certainly not over yet, with 12 minutes left on the clock, and the fight for fourth position rages on. But positions reversed, with Ferry Stanley now the defender and Ziggy Tiara now the attacker on the right hand side of your screen. But looking back from Smeedle's car, he's getting to the point now where the drivers behind will start to be picking up a very small benefit from the slipstream of our race leader. That will only encourage them further and start closing their gap quicker. Smeedle will be listening to the car, making sure everything sounds okay. He'll be checking his tyres, making sure that the temperature and the wear and the condition of the tyres are in the optimal performance. He'll know that he's led this race from the very beginning and cannot afford to make a mistake. And Marto now has retired from the race as well, so only 6 drivers are left in this race. Smeedle leading from the closing Simoncic and Van der Heide in second and third position. Ferry Stanley newly installed in P4 ahead of Ziggy Sierra in fifth, and Hakkinen in sixth position, some 17 seconds away from the chasing pack, but hanging on gamely in this competition. Again, anything could happen, and it usually does, as Smeedle now extends his advantage a further tenth of a second. So he's found a little bit of pace in that race-leading Audi to put another tenth of a second between himself and the chasing Simoncic and Van der Heide in second and third position. As a driver now, you're in that difficult position, is Jan van der Heide. Do you not attack Simoncic ahead and try to make it so both of you go your ultimate speed potential and close down that race leader? Or do you give it all beans? Do you try and find a way past, take that second position for yourself, and then do everything in your power to close up on the race leader ahead? I think Van der Heide cannot afford, with 9 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock, to do anything other than attack. Here's Amato, loses the car on corner exit, nose first and rearwards into the barrier. Rear wing damage, race over. A shame. Amato, a driver, looking forward to seeing more of in this competition, but no doubt we will see again in R Factor 2 plenty of esport competitions going on in this wonderful simulation. So if you're not part of the R Factor 2 community family, come and join us. It's a great time to be involved in the sims. But look at Amato just looping the car around, didn't quite get it balanced into the left-hander, and then once the momentum takes you, you're going straight towards the barriers. Such is the risk of a tight street circuit like this one, and the low downforce, the relatively low downforce configuration these drivers will be using to get the maximum horsepower down this incredibly fast start-finish straight section of the racetrack. The Norbridge heading into T1 and into the Wilhelm Alexander tunnel. Once again, 8 minutes and 45, and look at this shot. We're riding on board P3, Van der Heide. We can see Simoncic ahead. We can see the race leader is almost within striking distance with 8.5 minutes on the clock. The fight for second and third position is about to turn into the fight for the race lead as well. Smeedle will be seeing the gap reducing corner on corner, lap on lap. He'll be feeling the pressure, he'll be feeling the heat of battle of the two cars behind. Simoncic, Van der Heide, both on the absolute extreme edge of their not inconsiderable abilities in second and third position, fighting each other, fighting the circuit and fighting their opportunity to win the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition from Sim Formula Europe 2021. Ziggy Sierra now not giving up on the fight for fourth place as well. Ferry Stanley, we saw him just a couple of laps ago, overtake Ziggy Sierra after a race-long battle, and now he's the man under pressure. Van der Heide is giving pressure to Simoncic ahead as well. In third position, he wants second position. He has an eye on the race lead as well. Can Van der Heide do anything in the last 7.5 minutes to take that position away from Jurgen Simoncic? Remember, Simoncic started second, took the race lead into T1, lost the race lead almost immediately, and now Van der Heide. He spent almost 25 minutes behind the back of that Audi. He knows every trick that Simoncic has in the book. He knows where he holds an advantage and where he holds a disadvantage. Can he put that knowledge into effect over the last 7 minutes of this race? We will find out. If you're new to the broadcast, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Please do give us a like and a subscribe here on R Factor 2 Live on Twitch, where we host regular high-quality esport racing entertainment in R Factor 2. This is the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition for Sim Formula Europe 2021. This is a one-off race for victory to win a set of Heusinkveld sprint pedals. The 3-pedal set for a race winner will be taken away at the end of today. So the drivers are giving their absolute everything. Simoncic, that we're looking at, is now getting a bit of a gap to Van der Heijden ahead. 1.8 second deficit to the race leader. Ziggy Sierra in 5th position wants that P4 back from Ferry Stanley. Is a little bit too far back to do anything, is he, on the brakes? Into T1, late on the brakes again. Once again, we're seeing Ziggy Sierra is much more confident on the brake. It is Audi R8 LMS that will stand him in good stead in the final 6 minutes of this race. Van der Heijden now climbing all over the rear of Simoncic. Ahead of him, Van der Heijden having to come out of the throttle slightly to avoid making contact with the back of the Audi. So clever driving there from Van der Heijden. Sierra now too wide through the tunnel. Sierra on the inside, all become the outside to the next section of corners. He makes it on the overlap. Ferry Stanley has done to him what he did to Ziggy Sierra earlier. Through the long straight, Sierra made contact with the wall. Ziggy Sierra managed to make the overtake, gets a little bit of oversteer, coming into the left-hander, catches the wall on the inside, retains his position. Ferry Stanley keeping a watching brief in P5. It's all happening in the final 5 minutes of this race. Can Ferry Stanley take that position once again from Ziggy Sierra? Can Sierra gap the car behind? We'll find out in the next 5 minutes. This is a replay now. Sierra gets the overlap, turns out early. Stanley gives him racing room, so credit where credit's due. There's enough racing room, didn't close the door on him. Stanley goes straight back into the slipstream, heading into the braking zone. Stanley decides discretion is the wise tactic at that part of the racetrack. Nothing to be gained, but Sierra catches the wall on the outside. And this is the dangers of racing driver when you've been following somebody so closely for so long. When you get clean air, the balance of your car changes. The view out of your front windshield changes. And it's incredibly easy to make a mistake in that situation, which is exactly what Sierra did. But lucky for Ziggy Sierra, he manages to keep the car pointing in the right direction and crucially manages to keep ahead of Ferry Stanley as we head into the final 4 minutes of this race. Van der Heijden now a little bit further back than we've seen him in recent laps. So Jerzy Simoncic started to put the pedal to the metal now. He's 1.5 seconds away from the race leader. There's probably a couple of laps left in this race, as Simoncic knows this is his opportunity to either close the gap down and make a bid for victory at the front of the field, or gap Van der Heijden behind him and then not allow him an opportunity to use that slipstream and put himself into contention. It's tantalisingly close between the front three drivers. We need another 30 minutes of racing on top of this one to give this all the breathing space it deserves in what has been an absolutely fantastic race here at the Heusinkveld Peregrine Sim Formula Europe 2021 competition. Look at that, Ziggy Sierra painting almost the barriers with the sidewall logo of his tyres, giving everything and more in that Audi R8 LMS. Fantastic stuff. And once again, Sierra and Stanley are side by side through the tunnel. Stanley on the inside gets past Ziggy Sierra, makes the move stick once again. So Ferry Stanley trying everything he can to overtake the car ahead of him, but not quite enough. Very close without actually managing to pull the overtake off. He was riding on board now. This is Ferry Stanley. We're seeing on board his car, 5th position, gets the overlap. He's got the slipstream, He's got more horsepower and he's on the inside for the next significant corner on the track. But Ciara manages to keep that overlap, keep the car very brave, very fast, part of the racetrack, maximum acceleration, keeps the car to the inside. Stanley is wise to know exactly where Ciara is on the racetrack, doesn't force the issue, but once again they go too wide into the right-hander. Ziggy Ciara forcing his way through. Stanley cannot catch a break. He's trying every single trick in the book, but he cannot find an Audi R8 LMS Evo space inside that car. Ferry Stanley giving everything. Fantastic value for money these two drivers have produced in this race, and Stanley once again gets the run. Ciara carried a little bit of damage, maybe hobbled in a straight line. Stanley now has the inside, very light braking zone into the left-hander. Stanley on the inside. Ciara tries to keep it around the outside as well to keep out the barriers. Ferry Stanley takes position, but Ciara is not giving up, shows his nose on the inside, runs out of racetrack, makes contact, comes off the throttle. Clean driving from Ciara there, allows Stanley to retain the position, but Ziggy Ciara has now been relieved of that place with 1 minute 14 seconds left on the clock. Ziggy Ciara now will look to try and get a slipstream, will look for the overlap coming down into T1 once again. These drivers have changed positions more times than I've had a meal so far in this race. Fantastic, fair, clean and hard racing between these two drivers, and in the last minute of this race it's advantage Ferry Stanley coming on to what will be the final lap of the race. And Ferry Stanley tries to keep it clean through T1, loses the rear a little bit. That will compromise his corner exit. That will open an opportunity for the chasing car behind. And further up the field, a few hundred yards up the road, Jan van der Heijden, third position still, but has a run on Simončić ahead of him. Not enough to get alongside into the left-hander. Simončić keeps the car nice and clean, goes wide mid-corner to get the better run coming off the corner. Van der Heijden makes contact with the barriers, and once again these two are side by side, a little bit squirrely on the brakes for Ciara. Stanley retains the position so far, but can he do so for the remainder of the lap? Phenomenal driving from the pair of them. Simončić still in second position from Van der Heijden as well. Stanley still in fourth position from Ciara in fifth. This is Van der Heijden on board, gets a good run now. Simončić keeps the car in the middle of the road, no room to go round the outside, and Simončić goes a little bit deep into the corner, actually recovers it quite nicely to get to the apex on the curb. Look how close the race leader is. The race leader in this final lap. Is he going nice and steadily to bring the car home, or is he suffering from some kind of problem? We'll find out very shortly. Stanley, Ciara, fourth and fifth position, separated by nothing. Simončić, Van der Heijden, second and third position, separated by nothing. Smidl at the head of the field with all the pressure to try and bring home this race victory, as once again Van der Heijden to the outside. Van der Heijden, can he find space? No, he can't, into the braking zone. Recovers the car, goes back to the rear, shows his nose on the inside. Not a big enough braking zone to find his way past just yet. Van der Heijden now on the back of Simončić, looking for an opportunity. Ciara on the right-hand side of the screen, the same part of racetrack. Just watch the battle between Simončić and Van der Heijden. Ciara not close enough to effect an overtake, goes for a late dive. No room there. Well covered by Ferry Stanley. Michael Smedel driving beautifully throughout the race, doing just enough to do what he needs to do to cross the start-finish line, to take the checkered flag as our Heusinkveld Peregrine Sim Formula Europe 2021 champion. Michael Smedel does everything absolutely right. Fastest in hot lap, fastest in qualification, race lead, race victory, a consummate performance from Smedel as our champion of the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition 2021. Simončić holds on to second place from Van der Heijden. In third, Ferry Stanley, after the fight of the race, manages to retain fourth position. The last corner there, Ciara throws it at the inside, gives himself an opportunity, but not quite enough. Catches the barrier on the side as well, and that is a phenomenal piece of motor racing from all the drivers, all 6 drivers who have finished this race. Credit where credit is due, but the king of them all is Michael Smedel in first position, 25 years old. A victor here in the Heusinkveld Peregrine competition at Sim Formula Europe 2021. What an incredible performance. Never looked like he was going to be challenged by his rivals. Had it firmly in control. And there you see the 6 finishers. Smil in first place, Jurgen Simončić P2, Jan van der Heide a spirited drive to 3rd position, Ferry Stanley and Ziggy Sierra as one in 4th and 5th position. Turka Hakkinen rounds out the finishers in 6th place. Pierluca Amato, Wojciech Polste, Manuel Biancolier and Mark Kraus fail to finish the race. Incredible stuff, and it just leaves me to say a heartfelt thank you to you folks at home for watching this broadcast. Thank you to Ruben Correa Alves on broadcast direction duties. Fantastic pictures as always. Thank you to Jimmy Allison for being in race control and keeping everybody behaving as they should. Thank you to everybody that has set a time to try and take part in this competition. And of course, thank you to Sim Formula Europe for creating this fantastic competition, to Heusinkveld, who are the primary sponsors of this series and will be giving away a set of their Sim pedal sprint to Mihail Smidel, who won the race, and to R Factor 2, the wonderful R Factor 2, the platform in which this championship is hosted on as well. And if you enjoyed this, ladies and gentlemen at home, please don't forget that we're back again on Sunday the 17th at 1 p.m. CET for the Sim Formula Europe 2021 finals competition, where we'll be hosting more than one race in a very fast car to a very fast track to see who will become champion and take home their share of the €13,500 prize pool. Incredible time. And also don't forget as well, you've still got an opportunity to vote for your favourite racer. So head over to simformula.eu to be in a chance to win a signed Niki Lauda cap. And also, you've still got time to vote for which mod livery from this race you like the best. Simformula.eu is the website. Get your votes in. And from me, Paul Jeffrey, and the whole team at Sim Formula Europe 2021 and Studio 397, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again on Sunday, the 17th of January.